When 50 Cent goes silent, the world panics. But when he finally talks, the industry shakes like it just got hit with a truth grenade. And this time, he's not trolling for laughs or beefing for clout. He's unloading decades of secrets about a murder everyone thought was solved, exposing names that were never supposed to leave the whisper circle, because the real killer wasn't just hiding in plain sight. They were protected by money, fame, and the kind of Hollywood hush money that could silence a church choir. This revelation makes the Tupac and Biggie conspiracies look like playground rumors. 50's confession didn't leak through blogs or podcasts. It came straight from his mouth, raw, unfiltered, dangerous. He called out the snakes, the suits, and the so-called brotherhood that's really a crime syndicate with microphones. So buckle up. What you're about to hear isn't gossip, it's a digital earthquake. Because when 50 Cent breaks silence, the truth doesn't just come out. It kicks down the door wearing bulletproof sarcasm. Welcome to the scandal they swore you'd never hear. It all started with one post. Just one. A single cryptic message from 50 Cent that said, "The real killer's still out there. Y'all been fooled." No emoji, no hashtag, no promo link. Just pure chaos fuel. Within minutes, the internet melted faster than an iced latte in Death Valley. Blogs scrambled. Fans freaked. And the industry, they panic like someone had just unplugged the hush fund. Because when 50 Cent speaks, it's never random. This man doesn't post by accident, he posts like he's detonating bombs. But here's the thing. This wasn't about trolling, or clout, or some casual name drop for attention. 50's words carried the kind of weight that makes lawyers work overtime. Because the murder he was referring to wasn't just another Hollywood tragedy, it was the unsolved mystery everyone stopped asking about years ago. You know the one. The case wrapped in whispers, buried under NDAs, and guarded by million-dollar smiles. The one where the official story never matched the whispers in the streets. And now, 50 Cent, the man who built his empire off surviving real gunfire, decided it's time the world knew what really happened. According to insiders, it all began when footage resurfaced online, raw, uncut, and chilling. A clip that apparently revealed new details about the shooter connected to a certain high-profile incident tied to Charlie Kirk's circle. It wasn't supposed to exist, but it did. And guess who had a copy? Yep, 50. He'd been sitting on it for months, maybe years, letting the industry marinate in its own lies. But once the shooter himself started making confessions online, hinting that someone big orchestrated the whole thing, that's when 50's silence turned into thunder. He didn't just drop hints. He dropped receipts. 50 claimed that powerful figures manipulated the narrative from day one, framing nobodies, while the true mastermind hid behind a PR wall made of polished lies. And if you know 50 Cent, you know he's not afraid to drag people with corporate lawyers, security teams, and private jets. He's the kind of guy who'll roast your entire legacy and transfer it. So when he went live that night, fans expected a rant. What they got was an expose. "I told y'all from the jump," he said. Ice cold, voice steady. "These people play dirty. They control stories, control headlines, and they thought they could rewrite truth. Not on my watch." Instantly, the internet divided. Half the viewers thought it was classic 50, chaotic, blunt, and trolling for clicks. The other half, they started connecting dots that shouldn't have been connected. Because he wasn't just talking about Charlie Kirk's shooter, he started dropping initials, describing a mogul with church ties and skeletons so deep they echo. And that's when things got dangerous. You could practically feel the panic ripple through the industry. Phones started buzzing. PR managers started drafting clarification statements. One insider even leaked that an emergency Zoom call was held among certain executives to control the narrative translation. They were scared, because if 50 Cent really had proof, and let's be honest, this man keeps receipts like the IRS, the domino effect could be catastrophic. See, 50's entire brand has always been about truth through chaos. He's the rapper who lived through 9 bullets, outsmarted a label empire, and still found time to troll his enemies on Instagram like a one-man media outlet. But this was different. This wasn't comedy, it was confession with consequences. He claimed that the shooter wasn't acting alone, and that the real killer wasn't even in the same state when the shots were fired. According to 50, the strings were pulled by someone deeply connected, someone who used power, politics, and publicity to erase evidence and rewrite timelines. You think the cops got it wrong? 50 said during the live stream. No, they got told what to say. And they said it. Mic drop. Within minutes. Hashtags started trending. Hashtag 50 knows. Hashtag real killer exposed. Hashtag justice for truth. YouTubers started making reaction videos faster than AI could generate thumbnails. Conspiracy forums went into overdrive, dissecting his every word like biblical prophecy, and as usual, the mainstream media tried to play dumb. We have no comment at this time, one network said, which, in Hollywood terms, translates to, we're scared to lose sponsors, but behind the headlines, whispers were growing. One former associate of 50 East claimed he'd been investigating this case privately for years, even hiring off-the-record detectives to follow the money trail. Because that's the thing, 50 doesn't move off emotion. He moves off intel. He doesn't post clues. He posts conclusions. Meanwhile, celebrities who were even remotely linked to the incident started going quiet. Social media blackouts, family emergencies, suspicious vacations to Bali. Yeah, sure. We've seen this movie before. And then boom, the unthinkable happened. A document leaked. Not from 50 himself, but allegedly from someone close to the investigation. It outlined payments, deleted messages, and a coded reference to Project Nightfall. Sounds cinematic, right? But insiders swear it was real. And the way it lined up with 50's claims? Perfectly. Suddenly, everyone wanted answers. Who's the puppet master? Why now? And what made 50 finally break his silence after all these years? The answer might shock you, because apparently, someone tried to silence him. According to multiple sources, 50 received anonymous warnings, phone calls, threats, even legal intimidation days before his post. He didn't flinch. If anything, it fueled him. He once said, "I don't fear death. I survived it." And now, he's applying that same energy to this case. He's not just telling his truth, he's detonating everyone else's. What makes it worse for the people involved is 50's massive reach. The man doesn't need CNN. His Instagram alone is a news network. When he posts, millions listen not because they trust him, but because they know he's fearless enough to say what others one single quotes by the end of that week, the story had evolved from rumor to movement. Fans demanded investigations. Lawyers started sniffing around. And journalists who'd been silenced years ago started re-emerging, claiming they were finally ready to talk. And maybe that's the point. 50's silence wasn't weakness. It was war prep. For years, he's been clowning the industry, calling out corruption, mocking fake activism, and reminding everyone that fame doesn't erase guilt. But this was his moment of total exposure. The kind that rewrites narratives, ruins careers, and restores some long-lost sense of justice, even if it comes dipped in sarcasm and wrapped in chaos. By now, one thing's clear. Whatever secret 50's holding, it's making powerful people sweat, and the world, it's watching, waiting, refreshing timelines like their lives depend on it, because when 50 Cent speaks, silence dies. When the smoke cleared from 50's live stream, Hollywood wasn't just shaken, it was exposed. Overnight, the internet turned into a courtroom, and the jury was everyone with Wi-Fi. People started pulling up old interviews, digging through archives, connecting dots that the official story conveniently forgot. Clips of nervous politicians, twitchy producers, and no-comment red carpets were suddenly trending again. And right in the middle of this digital earthquake, 50 Cent, cool, collected, smirking like a man who just tossed a grenade into a mansion and walked away in slow motion. The memes went insane. One viral post said, 50 Cent out here solving cases the FBI forgot. Another read, when the government retires, call 50. But not everyone was laughing. Because while fans turned it into a global meme war, the people in power were panicking. See, 50 didn't just drop names. He dropped timelines, initials, and motives, all while claiming he still had more to say. And that's the kind of statement that turns billionaires into insomniacs. Insiders begin whispering about a high-level cleanup operation. Suddenly, old websites went offline. Accounts vanished. Even archived blogs were wiped like someone was trying to rewrite history in real time. But here's the thing. 50 Cent doesn't move without backups. You can't delete the truth if he already screen recorded it 6 times and stored it in 3 different cloud drives. Then came the celebrity reactions because, of course, chaos in Hollywood spreads faster than perfume in a courtroom. First up, Charlemagne the God went on The Breakfast Club and said, "If 50 is saying it, there's a reason. He don't bluff about beef. And he definitely don't bluff about bullets." Boozy Badaz reposted one of 50's clips with the caption, "Been telling y'all these suits dirtier than the streets." Even Ice Cube chimed in cryptically, "Real ones always end up being the last one standing." That one sentence hit different because it sounded like a warning. Meanwhile, journalists started leaking that the real killer wasn't just an individual, it was a system. A web of people who'd benefited from the cover-up, from the music industry to political circles. The shooter was just a pawn and the real puppet masters were sitting in boardrooms, sipping champagne, planning the next distraction, and suddenly, the story stopped being about one death. It became a mirror reflecting the rot in every corner of fame and power. 50 Cent wasn't just calling out a killer. He was calling out the machine. He said, "They think silence buys peace, but silence only buys time, and I'm done waiting." The internet erupted again. Podcasts, blogs, conspiracy pages, even mainstream news started to carefully mention 50's name again, though they always added phrases like alleged, rumored, and unconfirmed, because, let's be real, they didn't want smoke. With Curtis Jackson and the man himself, he doubled down. He started posting pictures from old events, tagging blurred out faces, and writing captions like, "Y'all smiled too hard that night." Each post was a chess move, subtle, dangerous, viral. Then, a leaked voice memo surfaced allegedly featuring someone close to the case admitting that "we were told to bury it." That clip alone racked up 10 million views in 24 hours. At that point, it didn't matter what was true or not, the belief in 50's story was spreading faster than any official statement could keep up. The public outrage reached a boiling point. Fans began flooding politicians' comment sections with demands for justice. Hashtags like #reopen the case and #50 expose the truth were everywhere. Celebrities started choosing sides, some showing support, others trying to distance themselves. One pop star even went live, tearfully saying, "Y'all don't know half of what goes on behind these cameras." The internet went wild dissecting that clip. Was she confirming it, or just fishing for sympathy? Either way, her PR team was probably praying to Wi-Fi gods that night. Meanwhile, 50 was enjoying himself in the most 50 Cent way possible. He posted a meme of himself sitting on a throne made of microphones with the caption, "They say the truth will set you free." I guess that's why they hate it so much. But the situation was getting darker behind the scenes. Reporters began hinting that certain files had been sealed under national interest. Imagine that, a murder so politically tangled. They labeled it classified. And 50 was just out here casually unpacking it on Instagram like it's Sunday brunch. Then came the big twist. A former associate of the shooter stepped forward. Not on camera, not yet, but in leaked text messages confirming that the shooter had been coerced and paid off to take the fall. He even mentioned names that directly aligned with 50's cryptic hints. Boom. Validation. Within hours, major outlets that had ignored the story suddenly started reporting it, but framing it carefully, like, "Sources claim rapper 50 Cent's allegations may hold weight." Translation: "We were scared, but now we're trying to catch up." And as if the universe wanted to make it even messier, a certain high-profile executive mysteriously stepped down from their position the next morning. Coincidence? Please. Hollywood doesn't do coincidences, it does cover stories. The aftermath hit like a nuclear wave. Social media turned into a battlefield, journalists fighting PR teams, influencers fighting bots, and fans fighting each other with memes as weapons. Everyone wanted to be the first to uncover the truth, But 50 had already done it with a single sentence, and through all the noise. One chilling phrase kept echoing across the internet. The real killer isn't who you think. It became the slogan of a movement. A reminder that truth isn't hidden in courtrooms, it's buried in contracts. Meanwhile, 50 stayed unbothered. He teased new projects, hinted at a documentary, and even joked about writing a book titled Silence Ain't Golden. You could practically hear the collective groan from the industry like, oh God, he's not done. But behind the jokes, there was something deeper, because this wasn't just entertainment for him, it was vengeance. 50 has always seen himself as the survivor who refuses to bow to fear. And in a world built on manipulation and image control, truth tellers are the most dangerous people alive. The killer 50 talked about might never see handcuffs, but their reputation. That's the real death sentence. And that's the beauty of 50's game. He doesn't have to destroy you with evidence. He destroys you with exposure. Once the public suspects you, it's over. Even A-list celebrities began calling him privately, not to congratulate, but to plead, to ask, "You're not talking about me, right?" That's when you know you've hit the nerve of power. When fear calls you instead of ignoring you. And somewhere between all the headlines and denials, one truth stood tall. The man who got shot 9 times was now the one shooting back with words sharper than bullets. Weeks later, 50's revelation still hadn't faded. Documentaries started development. Podcasts dissected every syllable he said. And even fans who doubted him at first began to notice too many coincidences for it to be random. But the biggest shock came when one of the people mentioned in his hints publicly disappeared from social media altogether. Accounts gone, number disconnected, house listed for sale. And fans knew the cleanup was real, because once 50 starts talking, hiding becomes impossible. In a way, he's become the hip-hop version of a one-man truth commission, part vigilante, part storyteller. All chaos, and yet, his tone remains playful. That's what makes him terrifying. He laughs while the powerful crumble. He jokes while their lawyers panic. It's not rage, it's retribution in entertainment form. This entire saga, from cryptic posts to cultural uproar, became more than just a celebrity scandal. It became a warning shot. Because if 50 Cent can expose one killer, one cover-up, one secret that everyone thought was untouchable, what happens when more artists follow his lead? When silence stops being profitable and truth becomes the new currency? Maybe that's the real revolution. 50 is not just breaking silence, he's breaking systems. And every time he opens his mouth, someone's career, image, or empire tremble. As in his own words, "They thought I was done talking. I was just loading the clip." Cue the internet explosion. And that's the story. Folks, the moment silence died and the truth came out swinging in bulletproof armor, 50 Cent didn't just speak. He detonated the industry's biggest illusion. He reminded the world that real power isn't money, fame, or PR, it's knowing something they don't want you to say out loud. Every word he dropped was a domino. And tonight, the whole line just collapsed. Because when 50 breaks silence, somebody's career gets buried in the noise. But here's the question, do you think he told everything? Or was this just round one of a much darker confession? Drop your theories below, because this story's got more layers than Hollywood's plastic surgeons. And if you're the kind of person who lives for leaked truths, forbidden receipts, and headlines that make billionaires panic, you already know what to do. Smash that like button like it owes you money. Drop a comment with who you think 50 was really talking about. I'm reading the wildest ones first. And subscribe, because around here, we don't whisper scandals. We drag them out into the spotlight and throw confetti on the chaos. New exposes drop faster than NDAs can get printed. And trust me, the next one? It's even uglier. So keep your eyes open, your DMs clean, and your popcorn stocked, because in this game of silence and secrets, 50 just proved the loudest man in the room is the one who knows what everyone else is hiding.